Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Endless Sky. Now, in the last episode, I did not have my mic turned on. So for 26 minutes, I was talking about random bullcrap, and not a single person knows what I said. So, I'm not going to go through and, go through that whole ordeal again. But I will say, uh, give you guys a little bit of what is going on. Now, today is October 3rd, which just happens to be my 29th birthday. And what I was going to do in the last episode was I was going to start talking about a little bit about myself. Kind of let you guys know a little bit about me. Not the full journey, but yeah, just let you guys know a little bit about me. That way, you guys can kind of understand where I'm coming from, where I've been, what I'm doing, what I plan, what I want to do in the future, things like that. So, without further ado, I'm just going to start again. I mean, I'm not even going to redo the last episode. I'm just going to talk again, and yeah. So, I was born in a town called Guymon, Oklahoma, on October 3rd, 1988, at 10:18 in the morning, I believe. I'd have to check my baby book, but yeah, I believe that's the time I was born. Anti-missile turret. Give me. Crap. Crud. I do need those. Might as well get that. Got 2 left. Might as well get one of those. Thrall. And oh wow, plastic. Actually, we're going to sell one of them. We're going to sell the jammer. We'll get a better shield. But yeah, the place I was born was about 20 miles from where I grew up. Actually, it was 20 miles exactly because, old railroad every 10 mile, old steam engine railroad every 10 miles, the town had to be placed so they could refill with water. But, anyways, so the town I was raised in and went to school in was called Hooker, Oklahoma. It's a location, not a vocation. That is a shirt of the Chamber of Commerce. But, yeah. When I was in preschool, though, I mean, there really hasn't been much that's happened to me ever. But when I was in preschool, though, I was known as a terror. I mean, a literal terror. Bad enough that I would chase my teacher under her desk with a baseball bat. Now, For months, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, or was it weeks? I don't remember anymore. But they couldn't really figure out what was wrong with me. I mean, I was just a terror, and no one could figure it out. Let's go food again. But that being said, it was actually my mother that figured out why I was being a terror. Um, when I was born, I'm not sure what happened exactly, but the doctors thought that I needed to be put on some type of hormone pills. Male hormone pills. That being said, that's exactly what caused my terrorism. Because my mother did a little tiny experiment and took me off the pills. And she was going to do this experiment for a couple weeks and see about any changes. I mean, they had been watching my movements, watching what I eat, watching where I went, who I was with, everything like that, because they were trying to figure out what was actually going on. Well, my mother did this little experiment. A week after she took me off, I went from being a tiny terrorist to one of the sweetest, kindest children of my entire class. It was a 100% complete 180. That being said, I've basically tried to stay the same like that throughout my life. I mean, I look at the world today, and it just pains me in my heart. If I could go back in time, I would actually go to Hitler. Because I would want to ask him a question. Just one question. That question would be, what if you were a Jew and someone else was in your place doing what you do? I'm not saying to be racist or religious or anything like that, but the Holocaust was targeted at the Jews by Hitler. What if Hitler was one of the Jews and he was being targeted? My thing is, I don't like to fight. I mean, you could probably call me a liar on that one to my face, but I literally do not like to fight. And I mean, the Doctor Who episode, it's one of the newer ones. I haven't watched much after oh wow. I haven't really watched much of Capaldi at all. I kind of ended it with Matt Smith because he was my favorite Doctor. Actually, he's my second favorite Doctor. There will never be a Doctor better than William Hartnell, the first one. I'm sorry. The first Doctor is my favorite by far of any of them. Period. Point blank. I don't care what you say. But I did watch an episode with Capaldi. And I'm not sure what the title of the episode is, but the Zygons, um, I'm not sure if it's the Nightmare Scenario or the Nightmare Paradox or whatever it's called. But it's where the Zygons decide, okay, we've had enough of hiding. We're coming out into the open. We're taking over. And human versus Zygon. Two of them with a box. One button can kill the other race. The other one, or the button kills the race, or the opposite race of what they're doing. Or one button will destroy everything. Period. Point blank. If I remember correctly. Because there was a line that he said that really struck me, because I've kind of been trying to follow that line my entire life and I didn't even realize it. No matter what happens, no matter how angry people get, no matter how many wars are fought, how many lives are lost, eventually, every time, they have to sit down and talk. You know, I've been betrayed so many times. I've been backstabbed. I've been lied to. I've been stolen from. I've even been physically assaulted. Once. That was the last mistake he ever made against me, but, it did happen. You just need to get out there, sit down, and talk. Because there is not a single person on this planet who knows what anyone else is thinking. Ever. Even the mystics or the fortune tellers, they can't even tell you, what you're truly thinking. The only way you can get your point across is through words. Why fight? Why have wars? That's just losing. That's losing minds. Let me try to explain this a little bit better. Think of it this way. Actually, no. Don't think of it. I have a perfect example for you. Wars. There are massive loss of lives every time. It doesn't matter how much life is lost in a war. It's loss of life. It's not good. Here's my thinking. Or here's the situation I came in. A few years back, I came up with an idea. I call it a solar box. The moment I came up with this idea, I had this idea on paper. I had everything I needed and everything to go. I had everything ready. All I needed was money to get it going. And that was it. Well, my mother had already passed away by the time. No. It was just before she passed away. Okay. I'll be right back, guys. I gotta blow my nose again. I gotta get some paper towels or something because my nose is still running. So give me 1 sec. Oh gosh. I can at least breathe again. Okay, now back to my example that I was doing about death and wars and everything like that. I come up with an invention, had everything go set up and everything. All I needed was money to get the stuff together to get it going. I still need about $1,000 to get the rest of the stuff. But that being said, my father, the moment, I mean the exact moment that I finished explaining my invention to him, someone else probably already thought of it and started on it. Which pissed me off. I mean, that statement just pissed me off. Because I came back with the reply. With the retaliation to that. Yeah, they probably already thought of it long ago. And they're probably laying there in Arlington Cemetery. People have dreams. People have wants. People have needs. The dreams you have can be just snuffed out if someone takes your life. In a war, 1 minute you're breathing. Next, you take a bullet through the heart, you're done. Take a bullet through the head, you're done. You don't have a second chance. You don't have a way to get your ideas out there. If I could go back in time to the very start of humanity, if I could have, I'm going to use the example from an anime. It's actually a very well-known anime in the entire world. Dragon Ball Z. And it's actually during the Cell Saga when Dende comes. When he redoes the Dragon Balls, gets the dragon again, and this time it gives 2 wishes instead of 1. My 2 wishes: to be able to travel freely in time, and immortality. For something very, very simple. Because I would go back to the very beginning of the human race. I would guide them away from wars. Because think of this. The human race has been around for as long as we know, or the current human race, for as long as we know, for about 4,500 years. 4,500. So let's say 100 generations. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, 100 generations. Yeah, 100 generations could be done in that time. Here's the thing. When humanity was, acquired right and everything, what were we before that? Who were we before we became humans? I want to know that. I want to know what life was like 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago. Or even the stone tools that they have recently found that dates us back to like 300,000 years ago. 300,000 years ago. 3 and 5 zeros. Yes, 300,000. 100 generations in 5,000 years. Well, 60. That's 60 times the generations in that time span. But my thinking is, if I was to go back in time, I would guide humanity, not on the path that we're on now. That is not a good path. The path we are on now, we're going to destroy ourselves before we ever even answer the question, who are we? Where did we come from? How did we get here? We will literally destroy ourselves before we answer any of those questions. Hello, timer. I want to answer those. I want to know those questions. Because in reality, there is only one true power in this universe. And that's knowledge. Humanity speaks. The universe listens to us. Case and point. Humanity. There will never be a diamond bigger than a baseball. I think that's the biggest diamond ever found. Was a baseball-sized diamond on Earth. Humanity said there will never be a diamond bigger than that. Universe heard us. It was like, want to bet? 3 months later, there was a supernova explosion that happened. One of the brightest, I think, in the last 50 years. I mean, there were so many people that trained their telescopes and their recorders on this event. When it faded, it left a pulsar. Wildly spinning around, giving off all that light. Just boom, 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 boom. I mean, it goes way faster than that. But it's a pulsar. Saying, hey, look here. This is signaling you. Hey, look here. When they actually looked at that pulsar after the explosion, there were still planets going around it. And one of those planets is almost completely clear, see-through. Why? Because it's a planet the size of Jupiter that is made of pure diamond. Pure diamond. Three months after humanity said there will never be a diamond bigger than a baseball in a man's hand. Never. In all existence, there will never be one. Boom. Humanity was proven wrong. That being said, there is so much about this universe that we don't understand. And most of us are afraid of that. To me, that terror, that terror doesn't terrify me. That terror of the unknown that people have, that excites me. Because, think of this. If you were to, let's say, go into the unknown. Yeah, you're going to die. That's a guaranteed fact. Everyone's going to die. But here's my thinking on that. The unknown is called the unknown for a reason. Because no one's ever been. Abysses are usually called abysses for a reason. Because they are unknown. People go and they don't come back. Ugh. Sorry, guys. I'm still dealing with a stuffy nose and I have no clue why. But, the unknown. It doesn't terrify me. Because what if that unknown... What if the secret to our immortality is right there? In that unknown. And we don't know it. I'm going to use, I'm trying to think of an example to use. If you go start moving forward into the unknown, and you don't stop, you can find wonders that you would never know. You can find terrors that you would never know. Think about this. The movie Doctor Strange. Now, in the movie, Doctor Strange is a brain surgeon, a neural surgeon, who gets into a wreck, and basically loses the control of his hands. So he starts looking for the unknown. Things that can't be explained by medicine. Things that are unknown to humans. Looking for a cure for his hands, so he could go back to work, so he could be a surgeon again. In his journey, not only did he find magic, he discovered the existence of gods, the existence of other dimensions. And he doesn't stop moving forward. He discovered them as like, oh, this stuff exists. What else is there? That's what I am. That's what I'm like. I take the work of science fiction and I look for things here on this planet that could possibly be in the realm of science fiction. Take the ocean, for example. We know more about outer space than we do about what's underneath our own waters of this planet. There are Google images of gigantic shadows in the ocean that you would never see except from except from something like that. There are things in the ocean that we know nothing about. Take the Mariana Trench. There was an expedition that was sent down. It was an unmanned expedition. It was a mechanical robot, basically, that they could guide. Well, they got towards the end of the expedition, they started pulling it up. They were probably about 1,000 feet from the bottom of the Marinara Trench. And there was no rocks, no cliffs, nothing to be snagged on. But all of a sudden the winch stopped. It didn't stop, it was still trying to go. But it was acting like it was caught on something. The boat was pulled a little bit. Not much, but it was pulled. Then all of a sudden, the winch started going again. Like nothing had happened. When they got that unmanned sub up to the surface, there were teeth marks. Bigger than a man's hand on this robot. Teeth marks. Now, another case in point about the oceans that we don't know what's down there. The goblin shark. They still exist. They are still alive today in our oceans. The last goblin shark that we saw was about, I think, 10, 15 years ago. It was dead and washed up on shore. For almost 250 years, people thought they were extinct. Because they didn't know. The goblin shark lives its entire life from 250 to 500 feet below the surface of the ocean. In that range is where the goblin sharks are. For 250 years, people thought they were extinct, and then one washed ashore dead. No bite marks, no skeleton. I'm thinking it either died of natural causes or the ocean started changing enough to where it couldn't survive, and so on and so forth. I mean, we've lost a lot of life in the oceans because of a lot of stuff that we've done. But here's the thing: for 250 years, people thought that the goblin shark was extinct because that was the last one that was saw. But people have actually recorded them on camera in the ocean now. People have actually seen them around. For 250 years, we thought they were extinct. What could be deeper? What could be down there that we know absolutely nothing about? What could be down there that lives its entire life 1,000 feet below the surface of the ocean? I can't find the image anymore, but there is a Google image that I had found several years ago. Just because I'm into this kind of stuff. I'm into the unknown. I'm into the monsters. I'm into the aliens. I'm into everything like that. Because that's just who I am. That's the way I've always been. That's the way I always will be. But the picture I was going to be telling you guys about, it was a picture of a Japanese freighter vessel. Now, you guys know how big freighter ships are. They're huge. They have hundreds of cargo crates, freighter cargo crates on them, and they're huge. So here's my question: what the hell was the shadow that dwarfed the freighter? It looked like a damn shark. but it was bigger than the freighter. I want to know what that thing is. Giant squids. I want to find a giant squid. I want to find a dragon. I know they exist. What we think of dragons and what dragons actually are more than likely, definitely, or not more than likely, are definitely two different things. There is something called the flying lizard. It doesn't actually fly. It more like glides. But it's a winged reptile. 6 appendages. 4 legs, 2 wings. Now, the gliding lizard climbs trees. It will climb all the way to the top to get away from predators and everything. Now, snakes can climb those trees as well. And those snakes will climb those trees and go after those gliding lizards. And right before that snake strikes, the lizard jumps and glides to another tree. How did it know to do that? It can't flap. It can't flap its gliding wings. To my knowledge, it is the first thing that we have discovered that is closest to a true dragon. Dragons, humans, bugs, we can go through the same processes given enough time. Think about this. The birds of today are said to be descended from small dinosaurs like velociraptors. They grew smaller, they grew wings, they grew feathers, so on and so forth. Here's my thinking. Because if you look back in 250 million years ago, back when dinosaurs existed, they're huge. They're as tall as some of the skyscrapers in today's society. Some of them are. Some of them are fast, some of them are slow. But they are so much bigger than us. Now, if you guys go on the internet and you were to look up giant skeletons, they exist. Oh, crap. I basically turned this one episode into a length of 2. So, I'm going to continue on with the giant skeleton discussion in the next episode. But, that is going to do it for this one, guys. I do want to thank you all for joining me on this journey of mine. I do apologize that I'm just rambling. I mean, it is my birthday, and I just want to talk. I mean, I don't have a webcam. I can't do a vlog, so I can't, record myself talking for you guys. But it is what it is. So I do want to thank you all for joining me on this journey of mine. I also want to ask that you please like, subscribe, and share to my channels and my video. That way, we can get my content out there to people who might enjoy the stuff that might not know it even exists right now. So anyways, y'all take care, y'all stay safe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Shadowkill 338.